Hello. I'm just doing a test. I had struggled at the end of the other stream. Couldn't tell what it was. But since we're here testing, just trying to fix this thing here. I think I figured out why something went wrong, but this thing will stop messing with me. Boom. Okay. But what we're gonna do now is we're gonna look at some BoredGamer. This is how I get all my information, politic-wise and creator-wise. I get my information here from BoredGamer. If you don't know, if you ever go on YouTube and looking for Star Citizen, this guy gives good information, very up-to-date information. So if you're looking for something like deeper than that, or from the past, or particular ships, you gotta find other guys. But if you want the latest information, you go here, right here, BoredGamer, and the other one. Okay, see, I'm in the way. Stay here. Let me stay here and get this guy out the way. Yeah, BoredGamer. He's really good. And then this guy is gonna be next. SaltEMike reacts, but I like to see it sometimes. I might skip because he talks a lot, but we'll see. And then Space Tomato is another one. I'm always there in the hours looking to see what new. They're good at it. They know that fiends like me will sit here and look for these newest videos, even though they're talking about the same crap over and over. But sometimes there's like one hint of an information that you can use or whatever. But let's get started.
Patch to be launched to live. It fixed a ton of problems with spawning ships, transit, trams, elevators, interaction with a load of stuff, and kiosk issues, not being able to quantum travel, not being able to switch between nav and SCM mode properly, not being able to just spawn. There were streaming issues. They've added tons of additional bug fixes and just a load more server stability.
Beautiful.
They fixed over 35 crashes as well. So much better build for live currently. It is built on the 4.0 code base as well.
Really
so anything they fix here and they sort of catch here is great for 4.0 as well. But yeah, annoyingly volatile items, so things like consumables, refinery jobs, and that sort of stuff won't have carried over to this A patch because they got wiped. It's not a huge amount of stuff. It's very minimal amount. Hopefully, it won't have affected people much. If you've been customizing your hangar, that sort of stuff, those customizations will have been kicked back to your sort of cargo bay or whatever, you know what I mean? The freight elevator, and they're no longer going to be where you placed them, is what I'm trying to say. Anyway, back to that CIG post. Meanwhile, work continues on Alpha 3.24.3 as we iterate based on your feedback and issue council reports, as well as pushing Alpha 4.0 closer to its live release, with our sights on opening a Wave 1 build as soon as possible. So that's really cool. 4.0 going to wider PTU pretty soon. They've been testing it loads on the Evocati. Some of those Evocati builds have been, you're actually allowed to make videos and stream them. That's awesome as well. We're going to be taking a deep dive into what you can actually do in 4.0 soon. But Alpha 3.24.3 is an open PTU. Again, load more fixes here. They're getting it ready for the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo, so you can expect it to be released just before then. On the 22nd of November is when the IAE is, and you can actually expect the IAE content, the Expo Hall and the ships and everything to open up at around 4 p.m. UTC on the 22nd. And that's typically when they have like new manufacturers in there, and they start events. So not always, but most of the time. And there were some extra bits in that latest 0.3 patch as well. They updated the MISC staff error enunciator scale. They realigned the MISC freelancer enunciators to be vertical. They updated the Redeemer to front and back shields with 2x size 2 shields. They made some slight adjustments to flight tuning for the Mirai Fury and the Aegis Saber, Firebird and Peregrine, and they added some rentable ships in Arena Commander with the Firebird, the Hornet Mark II, just the standard F7C one, and the Urza Medivac.
I mean, as laggy
they
it
are
was
going
today.
to be testing some of the new Intergalactic Aerospace Expo ships and vehicles in that patch.
How fun it's going to be? It's going to be laggy. If it was smooth
things like
this,
the Polaris are going to be there, the Mirai Guardian's going to be there. We're thinking that maybe you're going to have some bits with the Terrapin medic ship, stuff like that as well. And we know for sure as well, actually, the Star Lancer Max is going to be in there, so kind of bear that all in mind. Something else that is in that 3.24.3 patch that other people have discovered is that PDS turrets are working on ships like the Constellation Phoenix, I think the Idris as well. These basically auto-fire at missiles and torpedoes that approach the ship that are assumedly enemy ones. You don't want your friendly ones to be... I suppose they have to target your ship, maybe. But this is also a...
That's pretty dope. You know, like a self-defense system. That's pretty dope.
Prelude to getting those AI blades in-game, which will allow for deep automation of ships and the ability to make them more soloable, or running with smaller crews, or let you focus on different stuff. And also, I suppose this is a prelude to NPC crew, but NPC crew...
This is nice, right? You know, tattoos and all that crap, but... You know, I think being able to play would be more important than this tattoo stuff. I mean, you're wearing a suit half the time. You can't go in space. You're wearing a suit half the time. Let's fix this game.
Crew aren't coming by Star Citizen 1.0, but AI blades will. It's all you know, advancement and cool stuff. So let's once again go back to the This Week in Star Citizen post from CIG. For those of you hit with the post-CitizenCon blues, like some of us, we hope that you check out the CitizenCon 2954 recap. I've got loads on CitizenCon on my channel. Go check that out. Go check out all the summaries and that sort of stuff. That's going to help tide you over, apparently, until the next event, which will be the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo on the 22nd of November. Speaking of some awesome events, also sign-ups for the Daymar Rally are now open. Sign up before the 15th of December. It's cool, Daymar Rally. It's going to get better and better every year, but it is literally a mostly ground-based rally around Daymar, and yeah, it's multiple kilometers. It can take a while to get around, but it's pretty cool. It's a big sort of fan-run race, and it's a good laugh to watch.
I haven't raced yet. I gotta try.
Subscriber promos for voluntary RSI subs have been released as well, or at least announced. So there's chairs, the hangar and ship customization, all themed around the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo and manufacturers. There was also a D20, a big, like, giant oversized one for ship manufacturers, which you'd roll and then go, oh look, it's Drake. I've replaced all of the ones on my dice with Drake. Yeah, all Intergalactic Aerospace Expo themed. And interestingly, you can grab new chairs and that RSI one that's in the sub promos in Kelto in the 3.24.3 build at the moment. The rest of these player items will appear in a future patch, they said, and also they're going to be added to the in-game loot pool in the future as well. Boom! That's my updates for you today. I'm on holiday. Apologies for the weird audio, because it's going to sound different to my normal one.
You sound fine.
I'm really interested to know, are you excited for the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo?
Are you
looking forward to 4.0 and other events and stuff that's turning up? Are you going to be buying anything during the Expo? What are you hoping turns up? Have you been playing 3.24.2a on the PTU? What's your experience of that? Has that fixed a load of your problems? And 3.20...
And if you want to win a ship, comment. Just comment, guys. Maybe like it, the video, and comment. You entered to win. 4.3,
what's your experiences of that? And 4.0, I mean, tell me all the things. Interact with the video. It makes me money. See? Thanks for watching.
Welcome to the Intergalactic Nord Expo, where there's only one vehicle here. The vehicle for better internet security, accessibility, and privacy. I wish I could watch Netflix in Japan or Pyro or whatever. Boom! I can! And I'm so protected. It's not a concept. You can fly with nordvpn.com/BoredGamer today. And with NordVPN, you don't need any variants, but it is pay to win because you need to buy it or get a subscription and then you win. Use the links below to get massive discount. November is all about the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo. We've partnered with the Star Citizen organisation Lunar Wolves for a massive giveaway. Commenting on any of my videos during the month gets you a chance to win one of 4 ships: a Zeus MR, an Ares Ion, a Drake Corsair, and even a Cutlass Black. All courtesy of those beautiful Lunar Wolves. But wait, there's more. Sign up to the Lunar Wolves recruitment page, link down below, for a chance to win an RSI Polaris with lifetime insurance. They're recruiting. You might be looking for an org. I'll chuck some further information and terms and conditions and stuff in the video description as well. Don't forget to click on the join button under my videos. That goes a long way to help support the channel. Thank you so much to you that have already done that. Zin and I play a load of games after work and stuff, and we want to chuck those up for people that have gone the extra mile to support us either on Patreon or via that join button. Just remember to like and subscribe as well. Comment, ask us some stuff. Thank you so much for everyone that supported the channel, whether it be for a day or for the last several years, a decade. Oh my God, we've been doing this for so long. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great November and Intergalactic Aerospace Expo.
A lot of repeats. That was fun. Let's go see what this guy's talking about.
This next react is probably our last one for the day, but it's from
right here.
Morphologist and
other, I think, another channel somewhere. Whatever.
Spicy title, dude. I didn't realize it was this bad. 25 plus features. Star Citizen 4.0 removed.
Chair, bro.
25? So the immediate thought, and he actually DM'd me first, but I was like, he was like, I don't know if you saw my video, but I want to know what you think. And we just talked a little bit. And I was like, let me tell you something. When I saw the thumbnail and title, I went, oh, there's going to be a Reddit thread and a Spectrum thread.
He talks a lot, man. We're not going to see nothing thread for a while.
So I hope you enjoy hate. Let's see what happens. But yeah, here's the video from Morphin. Let's see what the actual 15-minute video has to say and not just the title.
By now, most of you guys have probably already heard that the next big patch for Star Citizen 4.0, which brings in pyro and server meshing and a ton of other features, has been delayed to the end of the year and has most recently been slimmed down quite a lot from its original planned feature set. But if you're like me and you were looking at the list thinking something was still missing from it, well, it turns out that you're not wrong. There were quite a number of features, in fact, that were originally planned to come within the next 12 months as of last year's CitizenCon in 2023 that just didn't end up manifesting in any way. They never made it onto the cards, and
oh, he's going back. Hell yeah, Morph. Yes. He's going back to SitCon 2023 and holding them accountable for that as well. Let's go.
See, this guy's pretty
they're
good.
certainly no longer going to be in the next 4.0 patch.
Bring
with
the
some of them being the very
Don't pop
reason
up
why
on my
I was
feed is
personally
good.
so
There's these
excited
guys.
about 4.0. So what are those features?
Here we
well,
go.
if they're not coming to you yet, don't worry. That's the point of the video. Sit back, relax, and let me show you exactly what we should expect to see, hopefully within the next couple of .x patches after 4.0 to really fill out that roster of features that most of us, including myself, really hope to see out of this next big step forward for Star Citizen. And if
bro, I can't anymore. Every time, this is one thing that I've really noticed through reacting to other content is so often, because we're all still invested in the game, right? Like people think, oh man, you're just hating or you're just this, you're just that. Everybody's pretty invested still.
Yes.
Because it's always, well, hopefully this stuff comes in the next, the dot patches, right?
Hopefully.
It's hopefully, and it's not just more.
It's not the patch,
right? We're all still here, and we're just kind of like, well, hopefully,
by any point in this video you think I've done a good job and you want to show your love and support, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button because it's how my channel stays alive. So, onto the video. Now, first, before I go on, I just want to
like, if you have any anger or anything to say, like negative comment, or you feel something inside this game did to you, he's your emotional support. Because he knows what you're going through, and he knows exactly what. That's why it's called salty. So you know, any grievances you have, you watch this guy, kind of like therapy. You know, he gives you a little taste. BoredGamer gives you like, you know, keeps you excited, like, oh, this, oh, ooh, wow, ooh. And then when you're angry, when you're playing and you're angry, you come to here and you know, you're not the only one, buddy. Like, yeah, you know what? Thanks, man. Oh boy.
Start by saying that the point of this video is not meant to be super negative. It's not meant to leave you feeling less happy than when you came in. I'm not here to make your day worse. I hate that about sometimes making videos about news that's not necessarily positive. But there are obviously ways to spin things in either direction. You could make something that seems really bad seem really good if you twist things enough. And I'm not here to do that. I'm not here to twist it to be super negative or super positive.
There's no twisting, there's just the reality.
But the reality is that no matter what I say, someone's not going to like it, so
you see what I mean?
All I can do is just go.
He's on top of it. He's always on top. Like, he said it before the guy said it. I don't know if he watched the video. He did it. It's live, right? But still, he's on top of it.
Holy shit, he actually made it through a jump? The entire 4.0 cycle, I have not made it through a single jump. Oh yeah, he told me he made it through one.
Oh, they know
forward
each other.
and try to be as based and honest as possible. So let's go straight forward and get through this list. All right, let's first start with the official list of what's been removed from 4.0, as some of you guys might not be fully up to speed. Beginning with what I'm just going to call ship systems and systems in general, because this feature set is really interconnected even though they separated them into individual cards, starting with life support. Life support was supposed to be the system that would enable or disable gravity and the presence of oxygen.
I'm not going to lie, I'm so happy life support isn't in because I think it was going to be a huge problem.
Within a room of a ship, air would be simulated in that you could evacuate air from a room or decompress it by opening an airlock, throwing everybody out, presumably that would be standing in that room along with any loose debris, which would have been super fun to do to friends and unsuspecting foes. Alas, not coming in 4.0. Also, who doesn't want to turn off gravity to toss about borders? I mean, come on, that's super fun. Then there was engineering, which would be very hard to summarize in a short form. It's basically the systems that allow a ship to come to life. You've got a network of different connections within a ship that can be disabled through accurate fire of another ship through weapons precision mode. This is how you could disable a ship without blowing it up, and players could go about repairing different systems of a ship, like the components, replacing them, or replacing the fuses that connect everything together. The whole thing would have made ships, especially large ones, much more interesting during combat, and probably last quite a bit longer, given that they wouldn't just
more than last longer. I don't think you're going to see ships die. Like, if we take what we learned from the insurance talk, the death of a spaceship, those kind of things, their goal is absolutely for you to go get your ship and repair it. It will not blow up. Go play the engineering demo if you could. Ships don't blow up anymore.
Explode once they got down to an arbitrary health amount. But it would also make salvaging a lot more interesting, as you could conceivably strip those components or add them to a Hulk to re-enable it and fly it about. Then, of course, there's fire hazards and fire extinguishers, which are two cards, but one feature, basically. All of this again, feels like one big feature. Fire hazards are spawned from a certain element overheating during combat or being shot at specifically by precision targeting of an enemy ship, and that would cause a fire to start on your ship and spread unless it was put out or unless you basically got rid of the air within your ship, which would have required you accessing the engineering panel, finding out where it was on the ship, and then selecting the room and evacuating the air. Alongside the repair stuff of engineering, it would have made operating large ships and even medium-sized ships a pretty exciting prospect, even when going up against NPCs. Then there's charge and drain, which is more than just...
I was so sad when I saw this because I was so excited for charge and drain. The reason I was so excited for charge and drain is distortion damage has always felt out of place.
Yeah.
Not really where it could be, should be, would be. And I thought that this was really going to take a huge step to making...
Because they have guns that distort the shields and takes it down, and then you use your ballistics after to break it, I believe. So... yeah, that would be dope.
Entirely different damage type be a decision, a choice that we make. Do we bring lasers? Do we bring ballistics? Do we bring distortion? Do we bring a combination of all three? You know, that kind of thing. And it would add a wrinkle to the mix of PvP and PvE combat that I thought would be really, really cool. And that includes the defense from it, right? Are you scouting ahead of time of who you're fighting against? Are they using distortion damage? Are you going to bring extra components on your multi-crew ships? Are you going to have people removing and draining distortion damage from your components? Those kind of things.
That's the ship stuff. It's actually connected to other systems like stations and outposts. This is how you would basically be able to turn the power off of a station or outpost, or activate it or repair it. They would have very similar systems then to ships, just a different configuration. Then solar bursts, which were actually in during the Pyro Playground way back when it was tested. I was part of the test. It would basically make the sun flare up and cause a lot of damage and hurt players who didn't take cover. Apparently that needs a lot more work. And then the transit system refactor. Transit systems aren't working very well with server meshing, so the idea was for them to go rewrite the code and make it work better.
Morph, they're not working well without server meshing. It's just going to get worse.
Yeah.
So that's the official list, but what about the stuff that never made it onto the cards?
And the dev who screwed it all up is in chat right here. Will Meme for Food. Everybody point and laugh. He screwed it all up for us.
Well, that's what's next. Personal hygiene and tears and sweat were all part of the same kind of system that they talked about. The idea that you had to wash yourself and it would affect your relationship with NPCs. That seemed pretty far in the future. I'm not sure why they decided to bring that up as part of the 12-month thing, but they talked about it, so I'll include it here.
Why no VIP? He doesn't work at the company anymore. He left us with a broken transit system and said deuces and just left.
Here. RTGI, or Ray Trace Global Illumination, that was talked about recently. Apparently it's going to be pushed back because it needs to have more work focused on with it with Squadron 42 first, and then they'll eventually work on it for Star Citizen. So it's still in the works, but it's quite a whiles away. Then there was Maelstrom Destruction, which was meant to be both for ships as well as outposts. So you could destroy the world, basically blow up outposts, and ships would...
Bro values work-life balance, shame. Oh, it's just a joke here, guys. Like, he actually fixed the transit system for, I think, OCS, and then was like, yeah, I want to move on to a different company or something like that. And he still hangs out, watches Star Citizen, gives us insights onto game development, and specifically Star Citizen game development occasionally. And, you know, he hasn't been there for years or anything. It's just a meme and just a joke. Yeah, he didn't want to make, if I remember, it was, he didn't want to make transit systems. He wanted to make gameplay. So he went to a company that he was making gameplay at.
Destruct dynamically and fall apart in combat. I actually do remember that being part of the cards at one point. I just don't know when it disappeared. FPS scanning, which was a feature that was removed from the roadmap several times throughout the past couple of years. The ability to scan your local...
The wall hacking, good, get it out of here.
For collectibles, for other players, so they would show up on the mini-map as well as on your Mobiglass. It was supposed to be a utility as well as a combat utility. Inventory improvements. Now this one's a little bit strange. It was kind of a weird, quick thing that they showed at SidCon where you could add pouches to your player's clothing. It looked like a really interesting way of attaching different inventory items. That's kind of
not mentioned at all at CitizenCon this year, by the way.
Disappeared. EVA push and pull plus grappling. We've gotten half of this. We do have the new EVA system, but we still don't know when we're getting the push and pull and grappling system that they showed off. No word on that.
It's not that there's been no word on that. Lots of talk on that in the month of reports, but no word on when.
Either. Next is the ladder rework. We've needed ladders to work for a long time. Sadly, that's also somehow disappeared along the way. The sliding mechanic is also no longer...
How do you show these things in the state they're in and them not be in game? Is the part as a non-game developer that I cannot comprehend or understand.
I'm doing what he's doing, but I'm doing
I cannot comprehend how you can go on stage 1 year ago, show something in that state, and not have it available to us at this point.
Video
you could say I don't understand game development.
You get it? I'm in the next verse, 3D.
But you're gonna have to explain to me why it makes sense, because it doesn't.
Longer being talked about. Don't know what happened to that, but still looking forward to seeing that in the game. Environmental hazards were briefly shown and discussed with
That's whatever
things
to me
like
personally.
radiation, which looked very interesting and would have made
For
a
now.
lot of environments feel more dangerous and alive. Physical interactions with different
I was looking so forward to this, believe it or not. This was one of the things I was really excited for.
systems, so being able to physically
Cringe, I
press
know,
a button made the world more tactile, and they showed off how much of an impact visually this would be, and it looked exciting.
Oh, man, that's
Unfortunately,
cool.
that as well fell off
You know
the
that
radar.
existed.
They made a little bit of a deal about improved stealth as part of gameplay, as well as new takedown animations to restrain people. This was
I will say the AI are
What?
as
Trash?
bad as they still are. You are able to stealth a bit around them. I think we started to notice that a tiny bit this year to throw CIG a little bone, but that's about it.
presumably
I don't
also
even know
going
if
to be
that's
part
that or
of
it's
the
just
new
laggy
bounty
and,
hunting
like, they don't
system, which
respond.
was originally on the cards
You know what I
and
mean?
also was taken off.
Yep.
Weapon
Oh, that's
degradation
cool.
and wear and
With the
tear
jail.
to match the suit stuff that we already have. Our suits currently collect dirt and snow when you're outside. Weapons were going to do that, but they would also degrade, and whether or not you let it be out in the open would affect that. So weapons would start to misfire, they wouldn't work quite as well, and the audio would change for them as well. It was a very cool system that they showed off. No word on that. It's never been on the cards. Next are some new weapons.
But we don't
One of
need
them
all
I
that
remember
right
was the
now,
Volt
man. We just
weapon,
need
but
the
there were a
fucking
couple
unit.
others that they talked about, which
Ooh. I still think these will probably make it into 4.0. Thoughts? Maybe not Volt. Well, maybe Volt. I think the weapons are going to make it into 4.0. This is Cope. Get your copium emotes if you want. But I think the current 4.0 testing is very much a server meshing and jump point test and not really anything else. I've done all of the possible contested zone type content, which is supposed to have rewards at the end. The rewards feel incredibly placeholder. I would not be surprised if around wave 1, 2, 3, and live of 4.0, whenever that is, we'll see actual rewards, the pyro guns, and so on be implemented. Might be Cope, but I think of anything he's mentioned here that might actually end up on the list that isn't currently on it at the moment, I would say this is it.
also haven't made their way into the game.
Components are bad. Well, I don't know if the components are bad in the contested zones or whatever, but they're not. You could buy them on the store. Like, they're not anything that isn't already in game. There's nothing unique to anything really in the contested zones at the moment when you would expect there to be.
I
don't think the
Volt
rewards are
weapon
in.
was again on the cards at some point, but again, it disappeared. Specialized armor for different things like PvP.
But Morphologists, all of these armors are in. The art of them.
Or flight, that was talked about last CitizenCon. Again, it was revisited this CitizenCon, so clearly it's not made it in, and it still seems quite far away.
Yep.
The quantum travel rework, which would have made quantum travel more physicalized. Right now, we are actually teleported along a line across the universe virtually, and it's not actually happening in the gameplay space according to the server. This was surprising to me when I learned this last year, but they wanted to physicalize it, which was what was going to allow them to add the next part of this feature, which I was really looking forward to, quantum boosting. If you've not played Star Citizen before, or maybe if you've just heard about Star Citizen, you know that travel times are a really big deal in this game, and quantum boosting was going to help us a lot for those short range travel points to get across a planet.
Whoa. I just noticed for the first time these like little tooltips that are popping up on the ships. That's never happening.
At surface or between
Maybe in
even
Squadron.
moons within a small planetary system within a larger
That's
solar
awesome,
system.
though.
Ground
I would
vehicle
love
loading
that.
and unloading on cargo lifts. Now, we thought we were going to get
Those, we saw them a while ago. I know,
Yeah,
Wanted,
man, that
because
shit
that
is
was
so
at 2023
disappointing.
CitizenCon. I just noticed them now.
this with the cargo
That
update
was
a
disappointing,
couple
man.
updates
One
ago,
by one,
and it never
everything. I gotta
ended
bring
up
everything
coming
one by
back.
one.
And they've not talked about it, so
the
I
toughest
don't know
thing,
what's
man.
happening with
I'm a
this,
cargo
but
guy.
I
This
thought
is
we would
like,
at least
you
get
know,
in
In a patch?
4.0. Unfortunately, that's not happening.
Oh.
Obviously, it's not in the cards. Base building was also
Okay.
on the list of things within the next 12 months. Now,
Why I'm saying we're not going to get them is performance.
Yeah.
I'm just putting this in here because it's one of the things they talked about, just to be thorough. I never personally thought this was going to be possible. It seemed even far-fetched to them.
They never said it would be in 4.0 Morph, did they?
And when they said it. So I'm not going to hold them really to account on this one. But again, just putting it in here because they said it.
Honestly,
and last,
I don't think so
but
either.
probably
Like,
most important of all, because it was the one that I was personally looking forward to the most, was the change to the reputation system specifically for Pyro.
Me too, Morph. Me too. I so badly wanted it to be like this. I jump into Pyro. I'm kind of neutral. I do a couple missions, and one faction is in control of one station, another faction is in control of another station, outpost. So I am gated from where I can go and where I can't. And I think we're going to see a tiny bit of that, but not to the extent. Like, I thought Pyro, that was like the idea of it, was to have this reputation system that kind of all the work that was going into Pyro was for that, right? Like, we have all these different factions and this infighting and this power struggle. And I thought that that's what Pyro was going to sell to us, that we can have that at, you know, in this quote unquote small scale. Like, obviously Pyro's huge, but on a grander scale throughout all of the game. But clearly that's not happening.
Was talked about a lot in context with reputation, because one of the issues with having a lawless system is that you still need some kind of rule to govern the way that players behave. So Pyro was meant to originally have a reputation system that would kind of incentivize or disincentivize the way that players would go about their actions within the system. The idea being that if you attack a certain gang, that gang wouldn't like you, and because the gangs own space stations, they wouldn't let you land and refuel. And with Pyro being as big as it is, that would be kind of a big deal. You would want to pick the faction that you thought would have the best chance of giving you an advantage over other players and stick with them to rank up in their reputation system, effectively also giving you a means of finding some kind of progression in the game. And this progression would...
Not just progression, but like getting locked from stuff too, I thought would be really cool.
What do you mean?
Like, just not being able to go to a certain place, I thought would be because of the choices that you made. Like, choice mattering.
Yeah, of course.
Have rewarded
Not
us
just
with stuff
reputation,
like
not just-
better weapons,
I mean, the
exclusive
progression
weapons,
should be
and
that.
exclusive armor that they showed off, and is to some extent actually in the game as of a few patches ago with the Duster stuff, and now with 4.0 with some of the other factions. Alas, those armor systems and weapons are not hooked up to reputation at all. In fact, there's no gatekeeping whatsoever with reputation as of right now with this 4.0 update, according to the cards and according to the Evocati build. This system was the biggest surprise of all to see not make it in, because I thought it was an integral part of Pyro.
Yeah,
it would have made it a
same.
much more interesting addition to the game,
Thought it was the
instead
point.
of just making it essentially a very pretty extension of the already existing systems, which is why I
Red Stanton.
recently called it Dark Stanton 2.0.
Dark Stanton,
I know
there
it's
you
a
go.
bit of a negative way to refer to it, but it's how I honestly feel. Beyond those features, there are plenty of others I could have referred
so
to
he's
that weren't
basically
directly
saying
talked
that
about
it's
in
just
last
a-
year's CitizenCon, like the whole economy update,
Same
but
thing
those
over.
weren't heavily
It's not like
emphasized,
anything
so I'm
brand
gonna leave
new
those
or
ones out.
epic.
I'm sure you guys can add to this list down below if you feel like it, but at this point, I want to give you guys the explanation that CIG gave us for why this is happening. The official response is that the engineering team needs more time to focus on getting server meshing right with Pyro and jump points for the upcoming patch, still leaving some smaller features in the game that aren't too much of a change from what we already have. And before you try to argue that I'm wrong here and that they do make a big difference, I'll remind you again what CIG said. They're removing those features because they need to focus on server meshing. Every single feature they add to the game affects the server meshing code. So the stuff that they're leaving
It just generally affects stability, right?
presumably
Not just
doesn't
server
have a
meshing.
big effect because it takes advantage of already existing code or code that's not been changed too much, not giving them too much to worry about in order to
Man,
focus
looks so
on
good.
establishing first a strong server meshing code on which to attach everything else to. Unofficially, I think
I almost want a Zeus, man, because that thing is a beautiful thing. It's like a, you know, it looks like an arrowhead, but still, the inside, the way it flies magnificent.
It's a rather clever marketing move. If they can get it out by the end of the year to the live environment, that means that even players in a...
The scene looks so good. The scene looks so good, I think, because of the fact that the sunlight doesn't pass through the clouds.
Yep.
The fact that there's this line of clouds. I think it's so good.
Free Fly can try it. Remember that Free Fly players can't experience the PTU, which would hopefully bring this year's funding at least in line with last year's, as it's currently falling behind.
I'm dying.
The other reason is that I don't think that they have the resources that they needed to get all those features in this year, given that Squadron is probably taking longer than they expected, which is supported by a lot of circumstantial evidence, like the theme of this year's CitizenCon was the UEE Navy on board UE capital ship carrier, and they had like a big F-7A mock-up like you were on the flight deck, and it was in Manchester where the studio is located that's working on Squadron 42. They also originally had planned to do a red carpet gala event at the venue that Atmo ended up...
How many times do we bash CIG for making half-ass features? The decision to push all of the features is the best decision in years. Yep. No one's saying it's a bad decision, but a good decision can still be a bummer, right?
Taking over, and those types of events,
and yeah, the features will still be half-assed, my dude.
Are usually high profile, where you invite like big stars to do PR or marketing, so they probably were going to have like the big stars of Squadron like Mark Hamill, Gillian Anderson, Henry Cavill, probably whoever they could get to come over. Probably not all of them would have. And if this speculation based on evidence is correct,
dude, that PO is insane. That was probably one of the coolest things I saw at CitizenCon was this.
Well, then I think it makes a lot of sense that they don't have resources. After all, resources are shared directly between Squadron and Star Citizen. This is not a conspiracy. They've said it directly, so it makes a lot of sense. But you can understand why that last part wouldn't be a very good official reason to state why 4.0s had to be stripped back a little bit. Now, personally, obviously, I can't speak for anybody. I'm going to only speak for myself here to be very clear. I'm not happy about the whole situation. I don't like that they've removed gameplay, no matter how good the reasons that they gave were.
You could still be
I personally don't think that
I
there's
remember when
anything to be
Hammerhead came
gained
out.
by
Man, this
lowering
thing is
expectations.
humongous.
So I try to be measured and understanding in response to disappointing developments like this. But still, I try to hold them to the same high expectations that they've communicated they hold themselves to. That's why I think it's all right to be disappointed in CIG and ask them to do better when they don't deliver on the things they said they wanted to. On a positive note,
but no, you're just being negative for the clicks. No, of course not. You wouldn't want them to be successful or have success. You're just being negative for the click.
server meshing again is really important, so if they do get that working very well, it's gonna improve the prospects of the game immensely. So we've got that to look forward to and to test going into the end of the year. But what are you guys feeling on this whole situation? Let me know down in the comment section below. Please be civil, and if you are, I would love to engage with you guys down below. Otherwise, if you
hurry,
them just appearing, that looks so bad.
If you are, I would love to engage with you guys down below in the next one.
The way they popped in there looks super weird. I never noticed that before. Yeah. So I loved this video, Morph. I gotta say, I loved it. I loved it because it was reasonable, and it was pointing out, going back to 2023 is such a nice little gotcha there. And I think it's like, yeah, man, like it just reminds you of what CitizenCon is.
Hey, we were in the same color today,
right? And it's not real, and it should never be treated as real, and it shouldn't be hyped in any way, or the way CIG does. It shouldn't take so much time away from development the way it does, because they used to argue that CitizenCon pushes the game forward. Do you guys remember that? Where they said, I remember Brian Chambers used to come in here, and I'd be like, dude, you guys are spending all this time on these conventions and not the game. And he was like, well, you know, it pushes the company forward.
It's true.
Like, we work really hard on tech and these things. It's like, yeah, but then the game gets delayed, gutted, and then you move on to, like, you don't do what you were intending to do because of it. And I think this reduction of 4.0 is showing it. I think former CIG dev, who I think is if I can remember correctly, is not very happy about him being a former CIG dev. I'll just leave it at that.
I'm sorry if this thing is
said something along the lines of, you either do the Squadron 42 demo or you do 4.0, and CIG chose the Squadron 42 demo, and that's why 4.0 is the way it is. There was only so much bandwidth for so many things. CIG chose CitizenCon over Star Citizen.
100%.
And
I don't know why.
Tired of that, man.
Well, those tickets that they sold.
Put the game first. Now, I don't know if that's true, but
you gotta make that bread, first, man. $300.
So sick of it.
You know what that will get me at NYCC? Huh? Does anybody really know? What's this? I don't want to see that. And the last one, guys, and then I'll take off and make my pizza.
From the first military capital ship in the game to a surprise mid-sized cargo hauler announced.
Oh, let me. This is Space Tomato. It's very good. It's been around a long ass time. I mean, I first got my information from him a long time ago. But he's kind of slow on videos, but it's because he puts time, quality, puts a whole production together by himself. So I believe that's why it takes a little while to come out. And he talks slow.
Said CitizenCon. A medical terrapin, a unique design, and a new small Crusader ship. There are some interesting ships making their way into Star Citizen over the next 4 to 6 weeks. Here is a quick look at each. And if you'd like to know more about feature releases, stability improvements, and gameplay development, check out the rest of this channel for more Star Citizen coverage. I'll drop a video or two down below in the relevant links to get you started. For the ship lovers here today, though, thank you for coming to my Tomato Talk.
That's the reason why I'm here. Planes, trains, and automobiles, baby.
The Starlancer is a series of ships from MISC that will aim at different specific roles. The build is a purpose-built ship for base building operations via its drones. This will likely be the ship that introduces the gameplay mechanic at its intended size. Then there is the TAC, a more combat-focused version of the ship. It's equipped with a med bay, jump seats, and 2 man-size 5 turrets, giving it those AC-135s. The Max is what we will be seeing released later this month at IAE. This will be a 224 SU carrying VTOL powered ship with a decent amount of protection around it with 2 remote turrets. As a MISC ship, it comes with that MISC style that always kind of looks like a melted spaceship, but some of them really do look quite good to me, these ships. Specifically, I really like the Odyssey. The strength of this ship, the Starlancer, obviously, is its carrying capacity. The ship itself is an 83-meter long vessel, putting it well over the Constellation-sized ship and not too far away from 600i size. At 224 SCU though, it carries significantly more than both. And it carries more than significantly larger ships like the Galaxy and the Reclaimer. But it also doesn't get anywhere near what a Caterpillar does in capacity.
Yeah, capacity.
It's a really nice spot for a cargo hauler to land, as there aren't many in that size range, and this makes for a really good stepping stone in the career path if you're looking to jump between manufacturers. This should definitely give some cargo crews of 2 to 4 people something good to use. Expect to see it at IAE later this month. Another IAE expectant this year is the Crusader Intrepid, originally shown in a teaser at CitizenCon 2023 as one of the ships coming in the following year. It was shown in quite a bit more detail at this year's show. It looks to be release ready from this video and has been confirmed to be arriving at IAE. I am a huge fan of Crusader's interiors due to the slight similarities you'll find with ships like the Endar Spire from KOTOR. But if they can ditch the infamous single entry approach of Crusader and their other ships, I may like the exterior just as much. And the more I look at it, specifically with the interior shots like this, the more I realize this thing is actually quite a bit spacious, maybe even incurring on the C1 Spirit territory. It definitely looks to land a step up from something like a 300i. It seems to fall more in line with like a Drake Cutter, but bigger. Listen, if the back of this has its own entrance, this will be our first Crusader small ship with the proper facilities, and maybe my new daily driver. Either way, more ships of this size are great for the early game experience and new players. Just also update the older starter-focused ships too, please. Oh man, how long have we been waiting for this? After beautiful renderings, great poetry, and wish lists aplenty featured, What we would hope for someday to be the medical terrapin, it looks like CIG might actually be doing it. From the CitizenCon teaser video and the shape of one of the new ships they showed at this year's little teaser reel they had, it seems a medical-focused terrapin is upon us. If you watched my video about why this ship is so adored in the community, then you'll know it was built with many different types of environments in mind. Think toxic planets that most ships can't go to for too long that might be coming in the next couple of years. Think specifically when they may have talked about this recently.
And as you can see, it's super toxic, meaning ground exploration will require high-end environment suits.
Or how about battle zones, where the medic is almost certain to get shot at? A durable, battle-ready ambulance needed to come at some point, and I bet the team will come up with some really good scenarios to have something like this around. This also looks like it'll be an IAE or shortly after release.
My baby.
Then there's the Polaris. I don't even know how I'm going to cover this ship. It is so freaking big and there's so much to do on it. I mean, this is the first real launch of a capital-sized ship in Star Citizen. The 890 jump exists, of course, but it doesn't meet the definition of a capital ship as far as the newer gameplay systems are concerned. But that means the Polaris is going to need something interesting to convince players to actually use it. New missions, truly difficult challenges in Pyro, and more reasons to actually crew up a ship this big are important now, as the players need an incentive to keep them testing capital ship combat, which will in time become a pretty big part of Star Citizen and needs to start being balanced immediately. This ship is all but guaranteed at IAE this year, after all the promises regarding it.
The Polaris is going to be flight ready, fully released at IAE this year.
So IAE this year, not 4.0.
Not 4.0.
But for whatever the patch number for Invictus.
24.3.
What happens if you don't make it?
It will come out at IAE.
What happens if you don't make it, Ben?
Well, my boss, it will come out at IAE.
At about 166 meters long, 576 SU of cargo space, 28 capital ship busting torpedoes, a med bay, a ship hangar, a number of protective turrets, and an absolute ton of space on board, this is the first ship that can likely act as a round-clock base of operations for organizations.
That's what I want, baby.
This will also be one of the first
I'll
ships
decide
to
from
demand
there where I want to do. I'm out.
across the spectrum. While it
We'll
won't
put my
be
fighter
all
in
powerful,
there,
if you have an active engineer, some
my
gunners, and
vehicles
bridge
in
crew on
there,
board, almost any ship
do
in the
some
game has a
cargo
reason to hesitate when
running with a
engaging
little.
this.
I'll take,
It's a
pick up,
very
you know,
powerful addition to
pick
the
up some
game,
contraband
but
with a little
also
ship,
very
go back
important
to my
one.
mothership,
Being the biggest test
load
case
it
for
back up
engineering,
and
a
be
first real
defended to
attempt at
leave.
capital ship combat, an incentive for
You know,
large
like,
groups to try
oh, man.
multi-crew gameplay like we haven't done it before, and a chance to start seeing 10+ members actually working together on board a ship.
Yeah,
It'll be
word.
interesting to watch this one added to the game
So,
this
hey
month.
man, who wants to
Too
ride
bad
in
that
my
engineering's gonna take a
Polaris?
little while longer though, huh? Finally, the Guardian, a ship we don't know much about. We know it was at some point meant to be a heavy fighter from Mirai, so a high-class, good-looking, maneuverable for its size and
Looks really
competent
nice,
for
though.
its class, heavy fighter. It would likely be a bit bigger than the Vanguard, but we don't
That's what
know
I
about
got.
its
Thank
interior.
God.
What we also don't know for sure is if it features a co-pilot or a turret gunner. From last year's silhouette to what many speculate to be this year's silhouette on the same sort of teaser-style video at
Hi,
CitizenCon,
Mini Sigma.
it does look quite different. So maybe these are different ships, or the ship went through a lot of design queue changes throughout the last year. But what we are looking at with this latest silhouette is something really cool to me. And just from the looks of this, could be my favorite looking combat ship in the game so far. I love a
Does look
slightly
good.
unorthodox design. This one gives that kind of nice hulking sort of stance while it still looks pretty maneuverable. I would also just love to see a small to medium sized 1 to 2 person ship with this same silhouette, maybe meant for less fighting and more just scooting around being cool with folks.
see what happens.
So it could be worth ripping off some of the guns and loading this thing with some higher end shields as a little runabout.
I mean, they have how many Furies, so maybe.
Oh, I almost published this without including our lovely Hornet Tracker and Hornet Ghost getting their Mark II equivalents, which is 2 more ships out of the backlog, luckily, but considering both scanning and stealth gameplay are relatively underdeveloped, these ships aren't incredibly consequential to most players. These are the next ships we expect to see released to the game. They all look like they should come within the next month, give or take a couple of weeks, so we'll see if they all deliver into the
This is what
game
I'm waiting
itself in that
for.
time. And from the selection we're looking at here, CIG is in for a lot of hype and sales, I think. These are a good range of ships in the lower to medium tier crew sizes, and with a lot of general purpose capabilities in this group, they'll appeal to a wide variety of people. I will of course be looking at each to see how it actually fits into the game when the time comes, and I do believe we're also due for a concept ship or possibly two at this IAE as well. There are also plenty of mystery ships and not so mystery ships that are due to be worked on in the next year, including the Ironclad, Pioneer, the Perseus, and this awesome looking what I assume big ship, I can see that you
can't do a lot of things. You can't ride a
the ship team is always working on something, and now that they've spent the better part of the last year supporting changes over like engineering, maybe we can expect to see increased development in ships that we've been waiting for, specifically that backlog, which isn't going to eat itself. But unfortunately, if you missed my last video, engineering has itself been delayed a little bit, so even the ship team maybe didn't have enough time to get everything done on that too. Anyways, if you enjoy these videos looking at ships in Star Citizen, consider subscribing here for more. I usually stick to feature development and news, but I'm going to be starting a new series covering ships more closely. And of course, we're always touching on them when we go over monthly reports on the live streams here on the channel. If you're looking for even more detail, longer talks, podcasts, and deep dives into game dev, check out my second channel, Space Tomato 2 as well. But thanks for watching this video all the way till the end. I hope you learned something new in this one, and I'll catch you in the next.
I feel embarrassed I'm not subscribed. I'll just subscribe. I thought I was, to be honest. Always give them a like. I'll do the same thing with oh no, I got played here. Hold on.
All right, this next
shut up, this guy. We hook people up. I didn't subscribe. They just pop up on my thing already, so all right, I'll hook them up too. Yeah, this guy, you better comment. Another great video. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to some more Star Citizen at CitizenCon 2954. CIG revealed expanded plans for in-depth crafting and base building. So this gameplay is planned to be coming over the next 12 to 18 months. There's quite a lot going on here. I want to do a bit of a deep dive into what was said and expand that out with a bit more context. So you are going to be able to
for the crew plus a few little jump seats for everyone else. Command module is there to
he was just doing what I'm doing, but I'm doing it on top of him.
All right, hold on. Here's actually a really good view of this. So people were thinking that this looked like the command module.
He's watching some new video I never seen.
It's got kind of some of the design language right here, but yeah.
He's really good, guys. I'm telling you. Just
maybe if you just
watch him on Twitch
portion,
and YouTube,
then yeah, it would look like this.
Is definitely a fast way to get him in all his
command module
three other.
Is really long. And like it's a little curved on the top too.
I want that ironclad though.
This part should be going upwards instead of sideways. Like not the same. I can see the general design language similarities, which is why it makes sense that this is Drake, but I think it's definitely a lot.
Look, he just showed it.
Bigger than what that is.
He's live right now, so you guys can go to him. I'm about to get off.
Jettison
I'm gonna add another hour to my clocks.
Dodge and kind of get out to safety.
That was it.
And I think that's like a really important thing as we get closer to Death of a Spaceman.
With some of the recent tech that's come online, it's brought us one step closer to implementing command modules properly.
This thing don't end with just
not only will you see this detachable command module feature on the Ironclad, but as well it will happen on the Caterpillar.
Interior-wise, you've kind of got two entrances onto the ship. You can either enter via the command module.
All right, man. I don't want to hear no more of that guy. The command module. So yeah, that was that's what I usually do. Watch him on the YouTube, and then I play. Try to get some get my stuff ready for a stream, and then back at it again. Same thing again. But I'm gonna have to take off today right now. Just wanted to add more clock time. I should have changed the category and all that crap.